Hi friends, welcome to week 1 of Baking Club. We're going to be making classic chocolate chip cookies, and as you'll see, I've laid out all of my ingredients and my supplies. I've gone ahead and taped my instructions, my recipe and instructions on my countertop so I have them easy to reference. And I've preheated my oven to 375 degrees and lined my 2 baking trays with some parchment paper. So now we're ready to start going ahead and making our recipe. Our first step is, after preheating and lining our cookie trays, is to have our mixing bowl, and we're going to go ahead and measure 1 cup and 2 tablespoons of flour. 1 and 2, and then we'll go ahead and take our 1 cup. I'm going to make a little bit of a mess with my kitchen too, which will be just fine. So 1 cup. So we've got our 1 cup and 2 tablespoons of flour. And to that, we're going to go ahead and add a half a teaspoon of baking soda. We're going to take one of our sturdy forks and we're going to mix that together. And then we can go ahead and ignore that for just a little while. Next, we're going to take a microwave safe bowl. I happen to have my handy dandy Pyrex, and we're going to add 1 stick of butter in there. The recipe calls for unsalted. I didn't happen to have any unsalted, so I'm using salted butter, and it's fine. If you had set it out ahead of time so it was already softened, that's great. If not, my favorite trick is to soften the butter in the microwave. So I'm going to take my cover, put it on top of my glass bowl, and I'm going to microwave for about 45 seconds. Okay, so 45 seconds definitely did the trick. It is nice and soft there. So to the butter, we're going to add our sugars. We're going to add a half a cup of granulated sugar. I'm just going to reuse my 1 cup there. Okay. And a half a cup of packed brown sugar. And I'm going to grab a spoon from my drawer. This a little bit easier. Got a little piece of hard sugar in there. Let's just get rid of that. Okay, so we're going to pack that down, see where we stand there. That is not quite half a cup. Okay, that's looking good, so we'll add that in there. And we're going to go ahead and mix that together. And we're making sure this is well combined. Alright, now we're ready to add an egg. I left my egg in the fridge so it would stay nice and cold. So I'm going to crack that against the counter, pour that in my bowl, toss my eggshell, and then I'm going to come over and wash my hands. Anytime you're using eggs and you get egg on yourself, you always want to wash. And I didn't mention it, but I did wash my hands really well before we got started. So that really is step 1. Okay. So I'm adding in my egg. I also need to add in a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Could probably use a little less since my butter was salted. And then 1 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. So 1 full and 1/2. Mix this all together. All right, now we are ready to mix this in with the flour mixture. Brown sugar out of my way here. And I'm going to grab a little spatula too to help with this process. Okay, so we're combining our wet ingredients with our dry ingredients here. With my second fork. Try not to lose any of these wet ingredients. Alrighty. And then we're going to go ahead and get this all combined. And see, baking, you don't need fancy mixers or anything like that. Standard fork will do just fine. Okay, trying to get this flour off the side and combined in there as best I can. All right, that is some good heavy dough. Okay, now we're ready to add in our cup of chocolate chips. I do a lot of baking and I love chocolate, so I get big bags of chocolate chips. Go ahead and dump some of those in, get those started. Add the rest to that party. Get those nice and combined. All right. That looks like some good dough. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and grab another tablespoon, just a standard metal kitchen spoon here. And we're going to start to spoon out these chocolate chips 2 inches apart on our parchment paper. Again, this is why it's important to have those nice clean hands, because you usually end up having to use your fingers a little bit. These are going to be really chocolatey. That's a lot of chips. The chip to dough ratio is impressive. couple in the center aisle here. Got to give them some space to expand though. Go ahead and pop batch number 1 in the oven. And while that is starting, we're gonna check them after 8 minutes. While that's getting going, we're gonna go ahead and prep this second round while we wait. So as soon as that first batch comes out of the oven, we'll have the second one ready to rock and roll to go in. Okay, friends, so our timer's just about to go off. While our cookies have been in the oven, I went ahead and cleaned up. I got everything rinsed and loaded in my dishwasher, and my flour put back in my cupboard, and my chocolate chips and all of that. So this will make for easy cleanup when our cookies are all done. So we've got 12 seconds here before we are ready to check on this first batch. Okay, I think that's close enough. So let's go ahead and open our oven. Ooh, and they are coming along. Whoa, see how they expand a lot. They clearly need a bit more time. They're not quite as brown around the edges as I would like them to be. So I'm gonna go ahead, since I have the oven door open, I'm gonna spin them around so they'll be even. And I think they just need maybe another minute or 2. So we're gonna close the oven door, set the timer for 2 more minutes, and we should be able to pull them out then. All right, our timer is counting down again. And I think these guys are ready. Oh yeah, those are perfect. See, they're nice and golden brown. And now they just need to hang out here and cool. So we're gonna go ahead and grab our next batch. Get that on in there. So my cook time, total cook time was 10 minutes. I think what I'm gonna do this time is check them at 9. I definitely don't wanna over bake them, but 8 minutes definitely was not enough. So get your second one in, set your timer, maybe try 8, depending on how yours did. Mine, I'm gonna check them at 9.